Hey guys, Laney Flitt here, and today I'm going to be ranking all of the quarterbacks in the NFL who have lost the Super Bowl. So let's talk about what it takes to be included in this ranking. So a quarterback must have started at least one Super Bowl in their career without ever winning one. So guys like Tom Brady or Patrick Mahomes will not be included even though they lost Super Bowls, because they also won other Super Bowls in their career. The quarterback must also have started the game, so a quarterback like Norris Weese or Steve Grogan, who entered in the middle of the game, will not be included because they did not start. And also, quarterbacks who were on the bench and did not play in the Super Bowl will not be included. So, that being said, there are a total of 30 quarterbacks in NFL history who meet the criteria for being included in this ranking. So let's begin and rank these guys from 30 to 1. So coming in at number 30, we have David Woodley, who led the Miami Dolphins to Super Bowl 17 in 1982. Now, when I was sitting down to do the research for this ranking, I really expected to begin it with Rex Grossman, but when I compared to two, I was surprised to find out that Woodley was pound for pound the worst quarterback. Woodley played college football at LSU and was drafted by the Dolphins in the 8th round of the 1980 draft. Woodley started 11 games in 1980 following an injury to longtime starter Bob Griese. Griese retired following the 1980 season, which paved the way for Woodley to become the primary starter in 1981. The pinnacle of Woodley's career came in the strike-shortened 1982 season. Woodley put up pedestrian stats, throwing 1,080 yards with 5 touchdowns and 8 interceptions, but the Dolphins posted a stellar 7-2 record in the 9-game season. The Dolphins cruised past the Chargers in the divisional round as their stout defense forced Dan Fouts to throw 5 interceptions. In the AFC Championship game, they faced the Jets, who were quarterbacked by Richard Todd and had upset the Super Bowl favorite Raiders in the divisional round. The AFC Championship game devolved into a competition of who had the worst quarterback. In the game against the Jets, Woodley was only 9 of 21 for 87 yards with 0 touchdowns and 3 interceptions. His QB rating was a dismal 15.5. However, Todd arguably had a worse day, throwing just 103 yards, 0 touchdowns, and 5 interceptions for an even worse QBR of 8.8. The game was close until the 4th quarter, when Todd tossed a pick-6 to Dolphins linebacker A.J. Dewey, which gave the Dolphins a 14-0 lead that they wouldn't surrender. Woodley and the Dolphins advanced to Super Bowl 17 against the Washington Redskins, where Woodley turned in another poor performance. Woodley was just 4 of 14 for 97 yards, while throwing a touchdown and a pick as the Dolphins fell to the Redskins 27-17. Woodley's poor performances in the AFC Championship game and the Super Bowl left the Dolphins feeling that an upgrade at quarterback was needed for them to compete for a championship, and they spent their 1983 first-round pick on Pittsburgh's Dan Marino. After Marino had a solid rookie season in 1983, it was clear that he and not Woodley was their quarterback of the future. Woodley was traded to Pittsburgh in 1984, where he put up 2 mediocre seasons before he was out of the league. In his career, Woodley started 58 games, tossed 8,558 yards, 48 touchdowns, and 63 interceptions. Surprisingly, his career record was a pretty good 34-18-1. However, the Dolphins had an excellent offensive line and a solid defense when Woodley played for them, as well as one of the best coaches of all time. Outside of his win-loss record, Woodley definitely had the worst career of any quarterback on this list. And coming in at number 29, we have Rex Grossman, who led the Chicago Bears to Super Bowl 41 in 2006. Now, if you know anything about football in the 2000s, you probably figured Rex Grossman wasn't going to make it very far up this list, and you would have been absolutely correct. The Bears drafted the Florida Signal Caller 22nd overall in 2003, but he struggled to establish himself as the starter for several years. He missed most of the 2004 and 2005 seasons with injuries, but he returned in time to lead the Bears to a first-round playoff loss in 2005. Things finally came together for Grossman in 2006 as he remained healthy and started all 16 games. The 2006 Bears had an elite defense led by Brian Urlacher, an excellent offensive line anchored by Olin Kreutz, and an excellent run game that saw Thomas Jones rush for 1,200 yards. They relied on Grossman to play mistake-free football, which he did for most of 2006. Grossman threw for over 3,000 yards and 20 touchdowns for the only time in his career. The Bears got off to a hot 7-0 start and finished the season at an NFC best 13-3. In 2 playoff games, Grossman was far from superb, but he played well enough to let the defense and run game lead them to victories over the Seahawks and Saints, leading to a matchup with the Colts in Super Bowl 41. Against an elite team like the Colts, the Bears' defense simply could not overcome their quarterback's shortcomings. Grossman threw 2 costly interceptions in the Super Bowl, including a pick-6 to Kelvin Hayden in the fourth quarter that put the game away as the Bears fell to the Colts 29-17. Grossman started just 8 games and 2 more seasons with the Bears, mostly due to poor play. He was replaced by Kyle Orton and eventually by Jay Cutler. He finished his career with 4 seasons in Houston and Washington, mostly as a backup, although he did start 13 games for Washington in 2011. In his career, Grossman started 47 games, going 25-22, while throwing 10,232 yards, 56 touchdowns, and 60 interceptions. 2006 was the only season of his career where he's even passable as a quarterback. He clearly belongs near the bottom of this list. Coming in at number 28, we have Tony Eason, who led the New England Patriots to Super Bowl 20 in 1985. Eason played college football at Illinois and was drafted 15th overall by the Patriots in 1983. Eason split time with veteran Steve Grogan his first few seasons, but he started more games than Grogan in 1984 and 1985. In 1985, Eason went 6-4 in 10 games started as the Patriots went 11-5 and secured a wild card spot. Eason was the starter for the playoffs. The Patriots scored wins over the Jets and Raiders before facing their division rival Dolphins in the AFC Championship game. In the game, Eason was 10 of 12 for 3 touchdowns and 0 interceptions, but only threw for 71 yards, while running back Craig James rushed for 105. They advanced to face the monsters of the Midway in the Super Bowl. In the Super Bowl, Eason had a historically bad performance. After Eason started 0 for 6 and let several Patriots drives stall, Raymond Berry benched him in the second quarter in favor of Steve Grogan. Grogan threw the Patriots' only touchdown as the Bears trounced them 46-10. Eason would bounce back with a good season in 1986, throwing 3,328 yards with 19 touchdowns and 10 interceptions, leading the Patriots to an 11-5 record. That was the best statistical season of his career. Eason would start just 8 games in his final 3 seasons with the Patriots due to injuries and poor play. He was released midway through the 1989 season. In his career, Eason started 51 games, going 28-23, while throwing 11,142 yards, 61 touchdowns, and 51 interceptions. His performance in Super Bowl 20 was probably the worst a quarterback has ever had in a Super Bowl. At number 27, we have Joe Kapp, who led the Minnesota Vikings to Super Bowl IV in 1969. CFL legend Joe Kapp ranks this low primarily because he only played 4 seasons in the NFL. After playing college football for California, Kapp was selected by the Redskins in the 18th round of the 1959 draft. However, the Redskins never attempted to contact him, and Kapp was forced to accept the offer of the Canadian Football League's Calgary Stampeders. Kapp played 8 seasons in the CFL, primarily for the BC Lions. He was a 2-time CFL All-Star and led the Lions to the 1964 Grey Cup Championship. His number was retired by the BC Lions, and he was inducted into the Canadian Football Hall of Fame. In 1967, Kapp left the CFL to sign with the NFL's Minnesota Vikings. His first season as a Viking, he went 3-5-3 while tossing 8 touchdowns and 17 interceptions. He played better the next season, helping the Vikings to an 8-6 record in their first playoff appearance in franchise history. Kapp had the best season of his NFL career in 1969, throwing a career-high 1,726 yards with 19 touchdowns and 13 interceptions. Kapp was named to his only career Pro Bowl as the Vikings finished an NFL best 12-2. After easily defeating the Browns to win the NFL championship, Kapp and the Vikings were 13-point favorites to defeat the AFL champion Chiefs in Super Bowl IV. Kapp tossed 183 yards and 2 interceptions as the Vikings lost to the Chiefs 23-7. Kapp became a free agent in 1970 and signed with the Patriots, going 1-9 in 10 starts as the Patriots finished a league-worst 12-2. After the team spent their top draft pick on quarterback Jim Plunkett, Kapp chose to retire rather than re-sign with the Patriots. In 4 NFL seasons, Kapp started 48 games, going 24-21-3, while throwing 5,911 yards, 40 touchdowns, and 64 interceptions. Kapp would be higher up this list if I counted his CFL accomplishments, but I'm only counting NFL. At number 26, we have Jimmy Garoppolo, who led the San Francisco 49ers to Super Bowl 54 in 2019. Jimmy G played college football at Eastern Illinois and was selected by the Patriots in the 2nd round of the 2014 draft. With Tom Brady entrenched in the starting role, Garoppolo was stuck as a backup. He saw his only action during Brady's 4-game suspension in 2016, where he went 2-0 in 2 starts, but could have been 3-0 if he wasn't a bitch, according to Martellus Bennett. He was traded to the 49ers at the trade deadline in 2017 and became the starter in Week 13 of that season. He went 5-0 as a starter that year, helping the 49ers finish 6-10 after a 1-10 start. After missing nearly the entire 2018 season with an injury, Garoppolo managed to stay healthy in 2019 and started all 16 games, helping the 49ers go an NFC best 13-3. Although the 49ers had an elite defense and an excellent run game, Garoppolo still threw an impressive 3,978 yards and 27 touchdowns. The 49ers absolutely demolished the Vikings and Packers in the playoffs, en route to a matchup with the Chiefs in Super Bowl 54. Garoppolo led the 49ers to a 20-10 fourth-quarter lead over the Chiefs, but surrendered a 21-point comeback after Garoppolo couldn't convert on crucial plays, notably overthrowing an open Emmanuel Sanders in the 4th. The 49ers fell to the Chiefs 31-20. After Garoppolo once again missed nearly the entire season in 2020 due to injury, the 49ers drafted Trey Lance to potentially replace him. Garoppolo has been good when he's on the field, but his biggest issue is that he's seemingly made of glass. He started 36 games in his NFL career so far and has a stellar 26-10 win-loss record. He's also thrown 8,967 yards, 56 touchdowns, and 28 interceptions. However, the same 49ers team that was elite under Garoppolo struggled when forced to rely on Nick Mullins and CJ Beathard, showing that Garoppolo is a viable starter. Time will tell if he can hold on to his starting job or if Lance will replace him. At number 25, we have Vince Ferragamo, who led the Los Angeles Rams to Super Bowl 14 in 1979. After playing college football at Nebraska, LA native Ferragamo was drafted by his hometown Rams in the 4th round of the 1977 draft. Pat Hayden was the incumbent starter, and Ferragamo was only ever intended to be the backup to Hayden. Ferragamo didn't start any games in 1977 or 1978 as the backup to Hayden, and Hayden helped the Rams reach the NFC Championship game in 1978. After Hayden broke his thumb during the 1979 season, Ferragamo came off the bench and went 4-1 as a starter, helping the Rams, who had gone just 5-5 under Hayden, reach the playoffs at 9-7. Despite being 8.5-point underdogs to the two-time defending NFC champion Cowboys, the Rams upset the Cowboys behind a 3-touchdown performance from Ferragamo. They knocked off the Buccaneers in Tampa in the NFC Championship game, setting up a showdown with the Steelers in Super Bowl 14. Ferragamo played well against the Steel Curtain, going 15 of 25 for 212 yards. He even had the Rams clinging to a 19-17 lead when the 4th quarter began. However, the Rams would lose 31-19 after giving up 2 fourth-quarter touchdowns. Ferragamo was the Rams' primary starter in 1980 after another injury to Hayden. Ferragamo played well, throwing for 3,199 yards and a Rams record 30 touchdowns while going 11-4 as a starter. The Rams would lose in the wild card round. After spending one season in the CFL, Ferragamo returned to the Rams and was their primary starter in 1982 and 1983. He finished his career with brief stints in Buffalo and Green Bay. In his career, Ferragamo started 53 games, going 27-26, throwing for 11,336 yards, 76 touchdowns, and 91 interceptions. He was mostly a backup, but had a great 1980 season and outperformed Hayden on his way to the Super Bowl. He still clearly belongs in the bottom tier. Ranked 24th, we have Colin Kaepernick, who led the San Francisco 49ers to Super Bowl 47 in 2012. Kaepernick played college ball at Nevada and was drafted by the 49ers in the 2nd round of the 2011 draft. He stayed on the bench his whole rookie year as Alex Smith started all 16 games. Taking over for an injured Smith midway through 2012, Kaepernick went 5-2 as a starter while throwing 10 touchdowns and 3 interceptions. He also rushed for 415 yards and another 5 touchdowns. Kaepernick played well enough that Smith did not get his job back. The 49ers finished 11-4-1, second in the NFC, and Kaepernick's rushing ability helped them score victories over the Packers and Falcons in the playoffs, leading to a matchup with the Ravens in Super Bowl 47. Kaepernick played poorly in the first half of the Super Bowl, and by the 3rd quarter the Ravens had erupted to a 28-6 lead. Kaepernick led a furious comeback, throwing for a touchdown and rushing for another, but fell just short as the Ravens won the Super Bowl 34-31. Kaepernick finished the Super Bowl 16 of 28 for 302 yards, 1 touchdown and 1 interception, while rushing for another 62 yards and a touchdown. Kaepernick played well again in 2013, throwing for 3,197 yards and a career-high 21 touchdowns. The 49ers went 12-4 as Kaepernick started all 16 games. He helped them reach their 3rd straight NFC Championship game, where they fell to the Seahawks. Kaepernick started all 16 games again in 2014, and had another good statistical season, but the 49ers went just 8-8. Kaepernick's level of play dropped off without Jim Harbaugh, and he struggled to compete with Blaine Gabbert for the starting job. After going 1-9 as a starter in 2016, Kaepernick was released and has not played in the NFL since. In his career, Kaepernick started 58 games, going 28-30, while throwing for 12,271 yards, 72 touchdowns, and 30 interceptions. He had a very good 3-year stretch from 2012 to 2014, but the brevity of his career as well as its disappointing finish puts him firmly in the bottom tier. Coming in 23rd is Stan Humphries, who led the San Diego Chargers to Super Bowl 29 in 1994. Humphries played college football at Northeast Louisiana and was drafted by the Redskins in the 6th round of the 1988 draft. Humphries spent 4 seasons with the Redskins and played sparingly as a backup. He was the backup to Mark Rypien when the Redskins won Super Bowl 26, but he never saw the field. After incumbent starter John Freese was injured in the 1992 preseason, the Chargers needed a quarterback and arranged a trade with the Redskins to secure Humphries. Humphries would spend 6 seasons with the Chargers, all of which he was the primary starter. Humphries played well in 1992, tossing more than 3,000 yards while going 11-4 and helping the Chargers reach the playoffs for the first time in a decade. The 1992 Chargers also hold the distinction of being the only team to make the playoffs after an 0-4 start. After injuries shortened his 1993 season, Humphries bounced back and had the season of his career in 1994. In the regular season, he threw 3,209 yards and 17 touchdowns as the Chargers went 11-5. In the divisional round, the Chargers stunned the Dolphins as Humphries led the Chargers back from a 21-6 halftime deficit to a 22-21 victory. They pulled off a shocking upset over the Steelers in the NFC Championship game, setting up a matchup against the 49ers in Super Bowl 29. This is the Chargers' first and to date only Super Bowl appearance. The Chargers were 18.5-point underdogs against the 49ers, and they played like it. Humphries went 24 of 49 for 275 yards and a touchdown as the 49ers clobbered the Chargers 49-26. Humphries would help the Chargers reach the playoffs again in 1995, but that would be the high point of his career. Humphries struggled with injuries his last 2 years and retired following the 1997 season, leading the Chargers to draft Ryan Leaf to replace him. Humphries started 81 games in his career, going 50-31, while throwing 17,191 yards, 89 touchdowns, and 84 interceptions. He threw for over 3,000 yards 3 times, but never tossed more than 18 touchdowns. He belongs in the bottom tier of this list. Ranked 22nd, we have Neil O'Donnell, who led the Pittsburgh Steelers to Super Bowl 30 in 1995. O'Donnell played college football at Maryland and was drafted by the Steelers in the 3rd round of the 1990 draft. After sitting behind Bubby Brister in 1990, O'Donnell became the primary starter in 1991. O'Donnell helped the Steelers reach the playoffs 4 straight years from 1992 to 1995. After being heavily favored to reach the Super Bowl in 1994, but losing to the underdog Chargers, O'Donnell finally helped the Steelers get to the big game in 1995, behind a season where he threw 2,900 yards and 17 touchdowns. The Steelers entered the Super Bowl as 13.5-point underdogs against the Cowboys, but they only lost by 10. O'Donnell threw 3 interceptions in the game, including 2 to Larry Brown that helped Brown win Super Bowl MVP. After his poor performance in the Super Bowl, the Steelers allowed O'Donnell to sign with the Jets in free agency. He spent 2 mediocre seasons as a starter in New York and 1 in Cincinnati before finishing his career with a 5-year stint as a backup in Tennessee. O'Donnell started in even 100 games in his career, going 55 and 45 while throwing 21,690 yards, 120 touchdowns, and 68 interceptions. He passed for over 3,000 yards just once in his career, and his career high was just 17 touchdowns. He belongs in the bottom tier. And finally, we come to the last entry in the bottom tier of this list, the best of the worst. Ranked 21st is Billy Kilmer, who led the Washington Redskins to Super Bowl VII in 1972. Kilmer played college football at UCLA and was selected by the 49ers 11th overall in the 1961 draft. Kilmer was switched to running back and played well at that position, rushing for 509 yards and 10 touchdowns his rookie year. Famously, Kilmer was the 49er who fumbled the ball in Jim Marshall's wrong way run against the Vikings. Kilmer switched back to quarterback when he signed with the Saints in 1967, and he spent 4 seasons in New Orleans as the primary starter. Kilmer went just 11 and 28 for dreadful Saints teams, but played well statistically, throwing 2,500 yards and 20 touchdowns in 1969. Kilmer's career turned a corner when he signed with the Redskins in 1971. One of new head coach George Allen's first acts was to replace the aging Hall of Famer Sonny Jurgensen with Kilmer. Kilmer went 8-4-1 as a starter his first year with the team. Despite starting just 10 games in 1972, Kilmer led the NFL with 19 touchdown passes. The 1972 Redskins went 11-3 under Kilmer, the best record in the NFC. Kilmer passed for 194 yards and 2 touchdowns in the NFC Championship game as the Redskins trounced the defending champion Cowboys 26-3. They advanced to Super Bowl VII, where they faced the undefeated Miami Dolphins, hoping to hand them their first loss of the season. Kilmer was ineffective in the Super Bowl, throwing 3 interceptions and not a single touchdown. The Redskins scored their only touchdown off a botched field goal attempt by the Dolphins as Miami completed their undefeated season with a 14-7 victory. Kilmer was the Redskins' primary starter for most of the rest of the 1970s and led them to 3 more playoff appearances, but went 0-3 in those games. He retired following the 1978 season. In his career, Kilmer started 124 games at quarterback, going 61-52-1, while throwing for 20,495 yards, 152 touchdowns, and 146 interceptions. I think Kilmer was clearly the best quarterback on this part of the list, but he still just barely misses the mid-tier. And that'll do it for the bottom tier of this list, numbers 21 through 30. I will be posting shortly with the mid-tier of this list, which will include numbers 20 through 11, or you can find my posts on Reddit under my account name Laney Flit. Thank you and see you next time.